In this video, I'm going to cover several different key aspects that I have found helpful when it comes to potty training your dog. Now, there's a lot of great information out there, so I'm going to focus on the ones that I think most people who have talked to me haven't applied prior to talking to me, and I hope this helps. So the first thing that I like to do is make a potty chart. This is something that anybody in the family should be able to see and access so that we know exactly when the puppy went last out or went out last, when they last had a bowel movement, when they last went pee, and things like that. So for me, what I encourage is we start with setting that up at every 15 minutes. You can set an alarm on your phone if you'd prefer to do that and just put it on repeat. When we first get our puppies home and they're around 8 to 10 weeks, really you don't have very long till they have to go. So I like to make a chart of that so that I can track that. And as I said, every 15 minutes, Monday through Sunday, or Sunday through Friday, Saturday. I can't talk. But go ahead and space that out. And what I like to do is I like to make a check one, check two. Check one is your puppy went out and eliminated number one outside. Check two is your puppy went out and had a bowel movement. And then I have X1 and X2. This is if your puppy had an accident in the house. This allows you not only to track your dog and what times they're frequently having to go, when we may have potential distractions like kids getting home where the puppy is now more excited, drinking more, playing more, more active, so likely they're going to have to go more. Also, it allows us to kind of keep in mind sleep schedules so that if we run into problems or if we're not seeing a trend, it allows us to, number one, be fair. Am I taking my puppy out enough? And number two, it allows me to look for potential problems that I might see a running theme. Once again, we talked about the kids getting home. You might see that at like 3, 4 o'clock for the average family, or maybe this is a time where we're busy and more distracted and we're seeing more accidents then. We don't blame the puppy for having accidents. We don't rub their nose in it. We don't scold them. In most cases, this is going to cause the puppy to want to eliminate in areas further away from you. In fact, we want to celebrate them going potty. So the biggest trick is setting up appropriate management. Appropriate management just simply says that when a puppy is that young, if they're seeking space away from me, there's likely no good they're up to. All right, so this could be the puppy is trying to sneak away to go potty or finding something to chew. In most cases, our puppies want to be where we are at that age. So if we're seeing them sneak off, that can be problematic. I recommend having a puppy safe area where you can monitor, pick up those inappropriate items, things they could chew. Block off areas with baby gates if possible. If you have an open concept house and you can't block off with baby gates or separate an area, I recommend using a leash inside the house. This way, if you see the puppy go to wander for something, whether it's to chew something or wander to an area that they've eliminated before, know that they're probably going to go back to that spot. So if I see the puppy going over there, I can simply grab the leash, I can encourage them outside, and then let them go outside where I can spend my time reinforcing the correct behavior instead of trying to correct the unwanted behavior. Now, when I get my puppy outside, I like to stand out there for maybe 10 minutes. I'll take my puppy to different spots in the yard. I'm going to go and I'm going to stand there for a few minutes. If the puppy doesn't go, I may walk to another safe, secure spot. I'm going to take note. Where does the puppy tend to go the most? Where do they like to pee? Where do they like to poop? Okay. And those are the spots I'm going to hit. So I'm going to only hit a couple spots. We're not going to play. We're not going to make this about a walk. We're simply setting the puppy up to see when we go outside, we get it done before we begin the fun. And that's the way I remember this. I don't want my dog going, oh, we play, and they get distracted because they really get distracted easily. So I go ahead. If they don't go, I bring them back inside. I might put them back in their playpen or crate or on the leash, monitor them for a few more minutes, anywhere from 5 to 10, and then I'm going to take them back out. So often we hear people go, my puppy went out, and then they come inside, and after they were outside for all that time, then they have an accident. Likely your puppy's just getting distracted. So taking them out on a long line or leash where you can control access to exploring, getting distracted, things like that prior to going potty is going to be helpful, and taking them in the same spots every time. As soon as your puppy goes, you're going to praise enthusiastically. Yes, you can give a treat, but sometimes that can create another problem that I'm not going to get into today on this video. That might just be causing the dog to rush to get the treat instead of eliminating fully. Eliminating fully is, not to be gross guys, is self-rewarding. When you gotta go and you get it done, it feels good, okay? It feels good to have it out of you. So it is a self-rewarding behavior. You don't have to go crazy on the treats, but yeah, you can totally mark your dog going potty. I'm gonna tell the dog to go potty every few minutes as I stand out there until they get it done. I should have a pretty good idea of when my puppy needs to go, as I've started to see over the course of a week to 2 weeks, my puppy being tracked on my chart. So that chart can be really, really helpful. It also can tell you whether you might be dealing with something like an urinary tract infection, or you've got a dog with sensitive bowels. All right, these things can be really important, and this allows you to communicate to your vet if there might be some other anatomical and physical concern. We want to address those. Now, if I'm having a puppy that typically if I'm choosing a crate for a puppy that I'm potty training, I only really want it to be big enough for them to stand up, turn around, lay down. I want them to be comfortable. I can always upgrade to a bigger crate once my dog is potty trained. What we're not trying to do is create a space where the puppy has room to go potty and then discard it off to the side, because that would not be self-correcting. Please do not leave your puppy laying in their excrement or in their mess. Please do clean them up and clean that off. Other factors that I like to consider. What am I cleaning with? If my puppy's going to a spot frequently, it's likely that their odor is maintained there. Dogs can smell down to 4 molecules of a substance, so it's really important that I'm cleaning that appropriately. Please find yourself an enzymatic cleaner. This is a cleaner that specifically breaks down dog urine. It's going to specifically say that on the packaging. Please read that and follow the instructions. Some of these products require to be soaked in, and depending on your flooring, if you've got carpet, you may have to let that soak in for 24 hours to work its way all the way down through the padding and all the way down to the subflooring. So just something to kind of keep in mind. Make sure we're cleaning up those messes appropriately. If your puppy does go to have an accident, do you have to make it a big deal? Typically, I'm just like, hey, 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 and clap my hands. I get a little loud. Am I mad? No. Am I yelling at the puppy, scolding the puppy? No. It's just like, oh, right. Now, I tend to like to follow routines. A lot of people ask me, how do I teach my puppy to tell me they have to go? And I think that's a wonderful goal, but it's not immediate for a lot of dogs. It's going to take time. So having a good structure and schedule is going to help the most. So in most cases, as I said, I often have the puppy on the leash. And that way, if I see the puppy wandering out of sight, wandering to a spot where they've gone before, I can interrupt it and get them out. But sometimes we're just a little slow. Sometimes we get a little distracted. So if my puppy starts to go, I'm like, hey, oh my gosh, even if it just keeps coming out, and then I still rush them outside. And if they go outside, I am going to reinforce that. Okay. Sometimes just that big, like, oh, right. Fiasco helps. Now I follow a routine. And if maybe I go to the same door every time, or I have my dog get up on a mat, or this could be a doormat, something like that, and reward that before we go outside each time. You might notice that your puppy starts going to that spot to tell you, but you do have to be making sure that you're paying attention, or else, well, what's the point? In other cases, I'm going to see certain signals from dogs. Some of the puppies are going to go and start to spin. Maybe they're very active tail waggers and the tail will just freeze. There's so many different cues. Maybe they'll start to get frantic or get the zoomies. This might be a good sign to watch for. And if you see that getting repeated before your puppy goes potty, this is probably telling you this is a good way for them to learn to tell you they have to go. So by recognizing it and reinforcing it, praising them and taking them outside at that moment is going to set you up for your puppy to learn how to give you signals and for you to read those signals. For each puppy and the process or how people want their dogs to tell them is different. We can go into bell training at another video. Bell training is another option. It's not my favorite, so I don't really push it super hard. It's not something that I've actually had to do as a professional, or something I've had to do with any dog that I've raised as a professional to get them to learn to go potty outside. So we've just got to really recognize signals and have a really good system. Other things to consider: when your puppy lays down and falls asleep, as soon as they wake up, assume they need to go potty. If you had a learning session that was exciting or anything exciting, play, immediately take your puppy outside. keep in mind when your dog is ingesting water. If they're ingesting a lot of water, they're going to have to go more frequently. So these are all really important things. For me, peeing is the harder of the two to get down. If we could, with number 2, a lot of the time we're going to see a trend that it takes this long for the food to work through the system, aside from diarrhea, stomach upset, things like that. And I do highly recommend making sure your dog's eating on a schedule. If you're leaving dog food out all the time, it makes it really hard to predict when there's going to be bowel movements. But if I eat at the same time every day, not to be gross, folks, it's going to become semi-predictable on when I have to go. And the same thing happens for our puppy. As time goes on, we're going to start seeing our puppy be able to go overnight. We're going to start being able to see our puppy around maybe 13 weeks for some dogs, going overnight, and usually won't have a problem. I typically like to cut off food and water 2 to 2.5 hours before we go for quiet time or for bedtime. This is just going to make sure that as much of the things that went in are out of their system, so we're not setting the puppy up to have an accident overnight or likely to feel like they need to wake up in the middle of the night, because there's some things that we can create by doing so. I don't tell people I'm not a fan of waiting till my dog is barking at me, having a fit in the kennel to take them out. I would rather be ahead of it. I don't want the dog learning that throwing a fit gets you out of your crate or gets my attention while you're in your crate. What I will respond if we find myself there and I know the puppy needs to get out. Please be kind to your puppy. But at the same time, if I'm ahead of it, I've learned my schedule and I've kept track, it's likely that I can just set an alarm and say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna get up, get the puppy out at this moment, and then I'm gonna follow that 10, 15-minute rule. We go out, if they don't get it done, we'll come back inside, wait a little bit, get them back out again, okay? Typically, as time goes on, you're going to start noticing your puppy doesn't have to go potty as frequently. This is also where your chart is very, very useful, because it allows you to see, oh, my puppy's gone from 15 minutes to half an hour to eventually an hour between potty breaks. And so that's something that allows us to, once again, be fair to our dog. And the more that we're ahead of it and aware of it, the better off our puppy's going to be. Remember, I did say we get it done before we get to the fun. All right, so please separate that. I like to, after pottying, I might reward, I might get silly with my dog, but more often than not, I'm gonna take them back inside for a short period of time before we go outside for a walk or play, simply because for me, that's really important. Please be making sure that you are scooping regularly. There's some really hard habits to break that dogs can get very kind of addicted to, like eating their own stuff, and so I do recommend be scooping frequently, if you can, every time your puppy goes out. The more we're up on that, the better off we're going to be and prevent certain behavioral problems, as well as keep certain kinds of pests out of the yard. This could include worms or different bacteria that could get our dogs sick. So really, really important, make sure you're keeping those areas clean. Make sure you're cleaning your house appropriately with appropriately designated types of cleaners and following the instructions inside. I hope this helps. There are going to be some dogs that are going to need a lot more advice and help than what I've given so far in this video. We hear of things like dirty dog syndrome or dogs that just really, really are struggling. So those are things that definitely you can seek the help of a trainer individually, but these are just some basic tips towards housebreaking your puppy. I hope this helps, and thanks for watching.